Live coverage of the 2024 presidential election in Senegal here on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM and live across the world on WADR.org. I'm Abdullah Hassan. Many thanks to our partner stations, Radio Pad, Damango Savannah region in Ghana, Kwateke Radio, Banga Bomi County and Radio Kagamahe in Ganta Nimba County, both in Liberia, and Numi FM 94.0 North Bank region in the Gambia for joining this broadcast. Polls across Senegal in today's election have closed and counting is underway to determine the winner or victor for the nation's number one political office among the 19 candidates in the race. Will any one of them meet Senegal's electoral code demand that says a candidate needs to secure more than 50% of the votes to win and avoid a runoff? We'll find out soon enough. The March 24 election is crucial with a cascading effect on Senegal's political history as it ushers in the fourth democratic dispensation since independence from France in 1960. It is also the first vote without an incumbent on the ballot since term limits were introduced and there is no clear forerunner among the 19 candidates. Over 17 million citizens participated in the vote both at home and abroad, accounting for 16,000 ballot boxes. Well, just so you know, counting is underway and across the country in different regions and departments. There are reports that suggest a bit of tight, result between two major contestants. However, it remains to be decided until counting is concluded at most by tomorrow to know exactly what we should expect from the process today. However, we will now join Ibrahim Akan, a governance expert who visited WADR a bit earlier, and he speaks about the potential of this election and the future it holds.
Mr. Khan, thank you so much for your time and for talking to us. I see that you have voted already. Could you share with us what that experience was amidst the entire chaos that has heralded this election date?
Well, I think the first thing when I, entered the polling station was that finally it happened. Despite all those dramas and everything, it happened.
And Simon, that may be what other people will be thinking.
Oh, yes. This is not the first time I'm voting, but I was surprised. In our place, people were queuing. You see old people, disabled people coming, and all of them were, we need to vote. We need to vote. We need to show to these people that we are human beings and they need to, we are the one who are electing them. So they need to understand what we want and they need to listen to us. So I think that's also about what the meaning of democracy. My personal vision of democracy is, I don't know if you know Alexis Tocqueville. Tocqueville is saying that democracy is only people trying to get more and more rights, more and more dignity, and finding the space in the society. And I think this particular election, is critical because it's a transition. We had 24 years of liberal system. We all know by the results what that liberal system have done to us. So we need to change software. We need to change direction. We need to put the people at the heart of any policy in our country. For me, the lesson that I'm learning from the past 20, 30 years, the politician that we had, because of the representative democracy, believe that because you elected them, you give them everything to do what they want and how they want to do it. That cannot be the same. That cannot be the same. And if you look at in 2000, when Abdoulaye Wade was taking over the power, we had 65% of our population that was below, the
voting age.
Yeah, no, not voting age. That could not get more than $1 a day.
Below the poverty line.
Poverty line. But look at today, it has not changed. It has not changed. And now, because we discover oil and gas, it's even, these people are even doing everything. You were here as a journalist. You saw what was done. But part of it was, we want to stay and we want to eat. While the population, there is no education, the health system is not good. And how can we build a society if the large majority of people are poor? We have 72% of our population that is under 35.
That's massive.
Massive. There is no job. There is no job. Some of them, even trying to leave their country, died on the sea. And we can't continue to behave like that because it will destroy.
Mr. Khan, this election, do you think the voice of the people will really count?
Definitely,
whoever
yes.
is coming in? Because from all of this that you have narrated, the experiences, and I guess the people have also learned the lessons of when you give absolute power to one person. Are there going to be changes for whoever will come into power?
I think definitely yes. When I say changing software, that's what I'm saying. We, the president that will be elected, I don't know, today or maybe in 2 weeks, will be the most scrutinized president in our history. WAD was very popular. People gave him everything. He destroyed our institution. People felt that, Macky Sall, because he was born after the colonial period, the first, president born during our independence year, gave him a chance to do what he do. Look at how he's going to leave the country in a complete mess. The third president will not have that luxury. People will do everything. I think even in the next 6 months, if that president is not able to start sorting out the problem, you will see people on the street. And there will be more violence than the violence that we saw before. So that's why I think for that president, there is a need for not only changing the software, but there is a need of involving more the population to the policy making that we will be in place. For instance, we are in a country where the president is, God. That needs to change. There needs to be a balance between the different powers. Our judiciary, which was seen before as an instrument in the hand of the executive, needs to be more independent. We need to have the economy of the country needs to be really more, transformative than just importing goods from outside. But all of that needs to be discussed among the population. It needs to be discussed because when you look at the campaign, when people were talking about we'll do this, we'll do that, it was almost the same. Almost all the 19 manifestos, they were almost the same. But what will make the difference is now that we have an elected president, how we will change the thing. And among the two, main candidates, one was saying, I will change the currency. But you cannot change the currency like this.
Yeah.
There is a need for, and I think the people will look at what you are doing, will be more scrutinizing what you are doing. I don't think that the people will accept his idea of having a new vice president. It will just be, it's not useful. We need to sort out our economic, our social problem rather than creating new institutions. Even the institution that we have, people think that some of them are not even useful. So you see, this new president, in my view, will have to be very, very, very careful. Otherwise, people will go after him. And if they go after him, that means that Senegal will be in a very, very dangerous period.
Well, for lack of time, would this be the time for the constitution of Senegal to be reviewed after so much that has happened in the last 2 years and putting the country in a very difficult position? Is this the time now that everybody, is out voting? Maybe after the elections, next thing will be, let's look at the constitution. How can we review the constitution, to create clauses for all of the things that we have experienced in the past 4 years?
It's not just about changing the constitution. It's also about changing direction. And that change of direction goes also with changing the political class. So in my view, this election will be seen as the end of an era of the politician that took Senegal to independence, that conducted the affairs during the first 60 years of independence. Now that we realize that none of the promises of our independence were met, a new generation will have to take over. And that new generation is young. That new generation needs to show that he has ideas, he is creative, and also he's responding to the need of the people. And that all those things needs to be reflected in the constitution. Because for me, changing the constitution without knowing where we are going is not useful. Because the constitution should reflect the ambition of Senegalese. The constitution should reflect the mechanism that the Senegalese will put in place. Just one element to show why today it's really necessary. One of our biggest problems the last 60 years is what I can call the representative democracy. You elect somebody, the guy does everything that he wants with the election and without even accounting for at the end of his mandate. Macky Sall will be going. The constitution says that you cannot take any legal action against him. Abdoulaye Wade nearly destroyed our institution. He's still around. No single action is taken against him. Do you think that that can continue? I think we need to put in place what we can say participative democracy, where not only the citizen will scrutinize more the behavior, the way things are conducted, but at some point when the president is reluctant to take one or two action, there should be mechanism through our constitution that allow the people to come in and say, no, this cannot happen. And to go for a vote, to go for a referendum, to go, there are many, many mechanisms that we put in place. And the constitution of the Assise Nationale has already gave us indication on what type of mechanism we can put. Because I think we don't have a choice. This is the way that we need to, because now, 60 years after, we have a young generation, sometimes well educated, they have their views, they have their needs. Government have to do something about that. If the government is unable or as unwilling to do something about it, they have to take action. And that's mechanism if it is in place. And that's why I say the constitution should reflect what the population wants. And if that is done, and for me, it means that as soon as we elect a new president, we need to create a process, not a dialogue, because we saw what dialogue has led, but to really have what we call the real Assise Nationale.
There you have it, Ibrahim Akan speaking to WADR's Imo Edet on the potential of this election and how it moves to shift the country's governance architecture from what it was, talking about representative government, to that of accountability. Now we head straight to the Gambia, where thousands of Senegalese today went to the polls to also enjoy that civic right. Sankule Janko is joining us from Banjul with some details. Sankule, good evening.
Good evening, Abdullahi.
How are you doing this evening, Sankule?
Well, if I have to be honest with you, I'm exhausted. But at the same time, excited. It's part of the work and I'm enjoying it.
Exactly. I mean, today is a big day for Senegal and, of course, West Africa. And so we just have to be part of it. Now, tell us
Absolutely, absolutely.
how did the day, came to an end in the Gambia, especially for the Senegalese population there who came out in mass to elect a new president.
Well, just prior to your call, the last results for this particular polling center where I am have
Hmm.
just been pasted on the wall.
Mm.
It's been an incredible day here. Incredible in the sense that, the elections were held here peacefully. I've been here since 7 a.m.
Hmm.
to observe everything. The elections, polling open in my presence and they're
Hmm.
closed in my presence as we just have a handful of people who are moving about. So for me, that's a good thing. It went successfully and the countings were done here and then it's a success here. Where I am.
So when you mean done, like done and dusted, or the counting still ongoing?
Oh, absolutely, Abdullahi. Initially the counting should have started at 8 p.m. That was the initial plan. But when the polls closed here at 6 p.m., counting started immediately because they were also trying to make sure that they complete counting so that they can go back to their various homes because knowing that it's Ramadan here,
Hmm.
just as it is in Senegal. So the counting is done here. This particular is the biggest in this municipality, that is a Canopy municipality, because we have 10 polling numbers here. We have 10 polling stations here
Okay.
in this particular center. And I can tell you that all of these polling numbers have completed counting. And they are done, it's done and dusted here.
Mm. And so, do you have any of the electoral commission representative affirm or confirm the results?
Well, here I can tell you that the results have been confirmed and they've been signed by the electoral officers in charge. And interestingly, all of the 10 polling, numbers here in Serekunda, opposition, candidate Jomai Fai has emerged victorious in all of the 10. For example, let me just give you a rundown of some of the polling numbers quickly. For example, in number 2, Amadou Ba got 76, Jomai Fai got 132. In poll number 3, Ba got 85, Jomai got 135. In number 10, Ba got 91, Jomai got 140. In number 9, Ba got 100, Jomai got 131. In number 4, Jomai got 129, Ba got 85. In number 1, for example, Ba got 96, Jomai got 110. In number 6, Ba got 95, Jomai got 124. These are all, it's the same, these are the results that have been counted and confirmed by the electoral officers in the
Electoral
presence of
officers.
party agents here in Serekunda in the Canopy municipality of the Gambia.
Mm. So let's move away from the official aspect of this to what the people make of the result. Do they say it reflects their aspiration?
Well, some of those people I've spoken to before, during the election, while they were voting, rather, this is what some of them, majority of the people I've spoken to, they were of the view that, the opposition, Joma is their candidate, and they feel that he will win. And based on their aspirations, this has reflected on the results. And even in Canopy, where I also went earlier on the day, the result, the information I'm getting is that, he has also won their landslide in that particular polling center as well. And these are the similar results we are getting from other parts of the Gambia. Before, I remember speaking to some of these, electors, this is what they said. And from what we've seen so far, based on the results, it has reflected. According to some of them, their aspirations have been reflected on the results so far in the Gambia. But this is not the final results, coming from the Gambia, because there are other, areas in the country.
Okay, where counting is ongoing still.
Yeah, no, no, campaign is done, of course, in the
No,
Gambia.
counting, all through counting is done.
Exactly, where counting are still going through. So we'll have to wait for the official confirmation. But from the information we are getting, it looks like Bashir Jomaifa will emerge victorious in the Gambia. Based on what we've heard, we've confirmed, and based on the results, the information we are getting here in the Gambia.
So we just have to wait and get the official results still, because there are many other polls yet to confirm or declare results.
Of course.
And aside the Gambia, there are other countries across the world where Senegalese in diaspora are voting. So we need to wait.
Absolutely.
Very well. And just before I let you go, Sankuli, you said this in the morning. I would like to ask you again, of what significance is this election to the Gambia, being a sister country to Senegal?
Well, I keep saying this again. If you look at the Gambia's foreign policy, I remember doing this during my international relations. Senegal is the most important, external country insofar as Gambian foreign policy is concerned in all aspects of life. Let's start off with, of course, the relations. The traditional and cultural relations between the Gambians. It's more or less the same. It's the same people. They speak the same language. They have the same traditions, nothing different. It is so unique between the relations between the Gambia and Senegal. Like I said, almost every Gambian have a relative in Senegal, whether it's your mom, your dad, your uncle, your sister, your cousin. But aside from that also, Senegal plays a very important role in the economic aspect of the Gambia. If you go to the biggest market in this country, 80% of them are all Senegalese vendors. We have a lot of things that are transported or that are imported rather from Senegal to Gambia, be it, basic commodities like onion, for example. Other things are imported abroad, but yes, in Senegal, we have so many things that are also imported from Senegal. So you realize that the significance of this election cannot be overemphasized for Gambians and Gambia as a whole. Mind you also, even the economic, troops in the Gambia, 90% of them, or I would say over 50% of them are from Senegal. They are also helping in the security sector reform of the Gambia. So Senegal plays a very, very significant role insofar as the Gambia as a country is concerned. So this election means much more to Gambians than you can imagine.
Absolutely, you're right with that. Now, Sankule Janko, thank you very much for that brief. I do hope you fill us with more info in, of course, not broadcast, but in subsequent news bulletins. Well, there you have it, the WADR's Sankule Janko, all the way from Banjul, briefing us about the outcome of today's polls in the Gambia. And according to him, at least, he's been to 10 different polling booths where elections were held and counting done with. And of course, you had it yourselves, the outcome of this result. However, we await results from other polling stations to confirm whether or not, or who the winner is, and whoever that person actually whoever emerges winner will get to rule Senegal for the next 5 years, get the chance and the mandate to re-engineer the country. Now, according to our governance expert, have to reinstall or uninstall certain softwares to improve efficiency and effectiveness of governance to impact on the lives of the average Senegalese person. And joining me from St. Louis this evening is El Haj Amadou Samb. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Very well, good to have you. And I should say also, I'm happy to have you join us eventually this evening. Now, tell us, how is St. Louis, where you are?
Oh, yes. For the time being, we are in St. Louis because I have to vote over there. And yes, for the time being, also in our election, we are monitoring the election as we have many people that we are all around Senegal in order to monitor the election.
Well, you said you are monitoring, but so far you're monitoring. What are some of the statistics or details or data you have to share with us regarding the conduct of the polls, turnout rate, for instance, and of course the issue of women's participation in the process?
Yes, so first of all, we have noted that the rate of vote is under what we thought, because we are below 60% in our last figures that we received in the evening. But maybe we could have more, right? And also about the participation, we have noticed a higher participation of what we call the first-time voters. And the first-time voters, if you remember in 2020, this was what was relevant for the election of Abdoulaye Wade as president. So apart from that, women participation, it is as usual because, as you know, women participation is very important in presidential election. But for the time being, the results are coming more and more, and we think that maybe by the end of the night we can be able to say or to give some pronostics.
Yes, I remember clearly we engaged you a couple of times to talk about the build up to today's event, the election, and it was more about the delay in the polls, the postponement from February 25, and all that back and forth until today was decided upon. Now, I wanted to ask El Haj, for
Yeah.
you, your coalition, does the struggle end today or it continues? And if yes, how is it going to be going forward?
Okay, so for our coalition, so it was an instant coalition, which happened in the period that was very important in Senegal. The role of civil society actors is to preserve the Senegalese democracy. So, as you know, the coalition was called Arsenal election to preserve our election. So now that the election is now at the end, so we wanted just to follow the process up to the end. And for the time being, now in the coalition, we have members like coach, like 3D NGOs that are working specifically on election. So we consider that there are organizations that are able to continue the process, but we will have our general meeting normally in the next week by Tuesday, and after we will be able to say what will we do. But from what I know, the coalition's objective has been in its end, meaning the election and in a peaceful election.
Well, regardless of that, El Haj, what would be the priority for you, regardless of who becomes the president, about restructuring the country, reorganizing the governance structure, for instance? We've had experts who said that there is almost too much power given to the president, and these are some of the issues that going forward will have to be checked and realigned.
Absolutely. The main priority, firstly, remain the reconciliation of the Senegalese people. We have noticed in this process of this election that the country was very divided country between the citizens, between sectors, and even between economy, politics. We had a country that was quite divided. So I think that the first priority for this elected president will be to reconcile Senegalese election, those who voted for him as well as those who didn't. And now, according to democracy, Senegalese democracy became to be weak because of political situation. And now, thanks to God, we have saved this democracy, and we will continue to work next to the authorities, because we cannot have a country where politics can hold the country and do everything they want. The civil society actors will increase their job of monitoring public action as well as monitoring the politicians themselves. As you said a while ago, in the program of some candidates, mainly the candidate of the opposition party, whose pronostics are very good, they wanted to reduce the power of the president, which is something that is positive according to us. But as you know, politicians, we cannot rely on what they say 100%. We are just monitoring them and try to see what they are going to do. But no matter what happens, we will be here and we will monitor and even struggle if it is needed in order to preserve Senegalese democracy.
Well, just before I let you go, El Haj, what do you think will be the minimum or at least acceptable reconciliation window? Because reconciliation is one word being used a lot these days, and it has the power to either make or mar efforts by stakeholders in moving society forward. So, what do you think will be the acceptable window for reconciliation? I mean, for the incoming government.
Yes, when I say reconciliation, I mean that if you remember, between 2021 to 2023 up to 2024, we have noticed that Senegalese people were separated because of politics. Some people think that we are belonging to this section, we are belonging to this section, which is not the Senegal
So, El
that we
Haj,
know.
El Haj, what's the shortest way in achieving this? Are you looking at a national dialogue or perhaps a constitutional review?
No, the national dialogue, we are not talking about the political dialogue because everything that we have seen was political dialogue. So no, we would like to have national dialogue and the president make some action that tell that I am your president. Those who are with me as well as those who are against me. That's what I mean by reconciliation. And we go to work because it's been 3 years that Senegalese people are not working. We are just focused on election and politics. I think this is time to work in order to increase our democracy.
Now, talking about working, what are some of the necessary components?
Yes, now we need to increase our economy. Senegal will start the production of oil, and lately in the budget we plan it a budget of $70,000 in December, and now for the time being, up to now we haven't received any report of the last year about the budget. And now that Senegal is going to start oil and gas, and you see many sectors like agriculture, like education, we need to increase that and try to modify some laws that are, for us, we consider that those laws need to be modified. And also trying also to focus on industry and agriculture. This is the main priorities that need to be figured out, and leave politics a bit, because Senegalese people was mainly focused on politics in these last 3 years. And I think that for the time being, what is important for the new president that is elected, try to see what are the main sectors of Senegal. Macky Sall has done a good job in industry, in roads, in bridging, and so forth, infrastructure. So now we want the new president to focus on life, the prices of the basic needs, also education. You see the universities that was closed in a long time. So the university need to revive, as well as Senegalese economy. I think this new president has a lot of jobs that is waiting for him. And if he focus on politics or things like justice, or I think that he will have many problems. But we are hopeful. We are hopeful.
At least you are there to help me to guide him so that he or she is not distracted. I mean, right? That will be some of your functions going forward.
Sorry, come again.
I mean, some of your functions going forward, one of them primarily would be to guide whoever becomes the president from some of these unnecessary distractions.
The Senegalese people has many actors, like what we call the non-state actors like us. The civil society is playing a very important role in Senegal. And when you see the coalition, the way they are built, you see that the coalition is from different parties. So it means that even the elected president cannot afford to do anything that he wants. And now those prime time voters that I said a while ago are young people that are in a rush. They cannot wait. The president Macky Sall had the 10 days or 2 years, let him work. No, the new president, new elected, will start working from the day he sits on the seat, and the civil society actors are more and more, energized, because we cannot also accept living what we lived some days ago. We will anticipate many democratic attacks or many political situation that can bring the country into dark days. No, what we are going to do, we are going to anticipate. I think we will open our eyes and first of all try to see by tomorrow what candidate will be, because for the time being we see that the Amadou Ba and Bassirou Diomaye are in what will absolutely, and now we cannot say anything up to maybe by tomorrow, but I think that from tomorrow we'll be able to say what we are expecting from the elected candidate.
El Haj, just before I let you go also, there's one important area where most times it's been left out when discussions are held regarding governance, and here we'll be talking about equality, right? Gender equity. And I wanted you to just speak more on that. Is this something you want to push on, even though Senegal has a good presence or representation in that area?
You know, gender equity is very important. The President Abdoulaye Wade has started a process, but what we have seen that it is more notice on paper than in reality. And the civil society actors is doing a great job. And by reading also the program of some candidates, we have seen that they have given a very important place to gender. But as we said a while ago, the politician program is not giving much more detail. You have to wait them to sit down on the seat. And as you know, the candidate that we have, most of them don't have many experience in government. So that's why we cannot rely on them when they, just because of the program. But gender equity, I think, is a relevant thing. And when we say gender, we don't just stop on women, but we think about disabled, we think about children. I think gender is something, we have a big vision of gender.
It's a broad spectrum.
And we think that this is something that needs to be improved because the older president have done what they could, and now this new president that have to increase that. And the civil society also will continue monitoring and make some advocacy if needed.
Now, just my last question to you. Do you also think that the civil society space needs to be sanitized? Otherwise, the influx of too many of them will later be a setback to the government in terms of policy direction.
Yes. For this question, I can just give you my opinion as a civil society actor, because Senegal is one of the highest democracy in the West Africa, and our strength for me remain our civil society, because even in the situation that is very difficult, all the civil society actors and even what we call the professional organization as well as unionists, sometimes when we are in the very difficult situation, they unite in order to take the struggle. And our civil society is composed of people that are high quality people, because the human resource in the civil societies, they could have be president or be a minister or an MP. So this means that we cannot say that the President Macky Sall hasn't done a big job. We see all the results that we have with EITI, the resources. We have many civil societies actors that are their seats in some direction, some ministries, and also we are playing a very important role in the country. Despite some problem, we always see that. But the role of the civil society is to advocate and to monitor. They are not decision makers, but their advocacy can be relevant, can be important. And I think that if we have a good power sharing in all the between all the stakeholders, I think that the country is will move forward. And as I said a while ago, I'm hopeful. I don't know why, but I'm hopeful that the situation can go better.
Exactly. Hope is a very strong ingredient, in making sure that we continue survival. And
Absolutely.
one other word you said, advocacy. That's very strong and powerful. And I think sometimes the meaning of that is understated.
For sure.
However, in just rounding up, El Haj, what are you urging the population, both home and abroad, as we await the final decision to be announced by the state regarding today's event?
Yeah, so what we said, and this is our word in Arsenal election, it is to for the people to be quiet, to stay quiet first for the people, mainly the young people, and also for those who are in the voting offices to wait and monitor, because those files have to go to the Constitutional Council. They are the one to give the final decision. So those decision, the results that we have are not final results. So that's why we have to monitor the process up to the end, because we need to monitor the results that will be signed and that will be sent to the Constitutional Council, because those are the final validated decision. And we hope that this peaceful day that we have, we hope to have it up to the end, and then to install our new president by February the 2nd.
That is well said, El Haj Amadou Sam. Many thanks for joining our broadcast this evening. And also, we do hope to have you join us to discuss more on this development in the coming days.
Thank you very much. That is always a pleasure to join you. Thanks
All right,
a lot.
then. Take care.
Welcome.
And that's about it. That's how we wrap up the fourth and last edition of the English live coverage of the 2024 presidential election in Senegal, here on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM. We're live across the world on WADR.org. And to our technicians, Amadou Diouf and Mustafa Sek, we say big thanks. And of course, the social media team, Francis Boniface and David Vincent. Not forgetting Tawfiq Abdel Nasser and Imwedet, my production team. I am Abdullah Hassan. We understand right now that counting is ongoing in most parts of the country, in a number of departments and regions. The results are still coming in, and it's kind of tight between two major heavyweights or contestants in the election. However, we do promise to bring you the update as soon as the final verdict is reached. You take care of yourselves and follow us on our social media handles, Facebook, WADR English Service, on X, formerly Twitter, at WADR News, same as Instagram, and of course stream live on WADR.org. Do go there and catch all the latest and developing trending stories. Good night.